See, I thought about starting the report like this to protect myself. Then I realized, what do I have to hide from? They gonna chase down a homeless man and sue him in court? Are they gonna ticket a man for trying to make sure less accidents happen? Well, folks, quite possibly. But then again, I guess that's the risk I'm willing to take for all of thee. This story starts with adding a 50-cent part that realistically should have been added and almost cost 3 lives and so many more. The story is being brought to you in hopes that realizing that taking time and patience and remembering to use our checks and balances can keep everyone safe. And during such difficult and trying times, slowing down instead of forcing each other to handle more and more duties is the responsible thing. And here's now, this story has been filed with the Attorney General's office, and further investigation is being done on their part. Sadly, though, the story ends with me needing to report this story and asking for help. On August 10th, my vehicle was finished. Work was done on it at Schwab's. A safety check to ensure that my vehicle would be safe on the road. Due to the fact that I did not have insurance, I wanted to ensure that the $1,600 I did have would make it safe to drive. Insurance doesn't cover the death of somebody, and if my vehicle wasn't safe, it could have been deadly, and I wanted to make sure that my vehicle was not deadly. Now, before I begin, let me explain to you why this video and why the help is needed. Les Schwab's is denying doing the work on my car. They are denying that anything happened. They agree that there was a mishap with the tie rod end. It appears that there's been a cover-up with paperwork, as I was given so many ounces paperwork. It was already put in the envelope, sealed, and handed to me at the time, which had the work that was done on it. Now, I have no paper copy that proves that my car was pulled back in and that they had picked it up off the road, sending one of their people out to go get it by the name of Justin. When I took pictures of this, I chose to keep Justin out of it, just for embarrassment's sake, in case this had to go any further. I also found out I should have called the police and had the police arrive on scene at the time that they sent Justin to come and repair my car, so that there was a formal police report. So they are denying everything that I'm going to tell you. Throughout this video, I will try and show you pictures of things that I do have, such as work orders, receipts of mail that was sent certified to the person whose paperwork I was given. It is still in that envelope. I have not unsealed that envelope in case it needs to be presented as evidence in court. In case some lawyer out there sees this video and is willing to offer me assistance in this matter, direct me, pick up my case, one or many options I would appreciate. Schwab's store number is 362. The salesperson is Joseph E.A. The invoice is 36200502424. My customer ID is A036230236. It was work on a 2001 Audi All-Road. Tie rod end installation. Front lower rearward control arm. Control arm bushing install. Right front used knuckle installed. CV axle replacement. Thrust alignment. Thrust angle alignment, domestic import for domestic imports. Totaling $1,562. Now, somehow, between when I dropped the car off and made the original invoice with Joseph, there happened to be 7 altered invoices, apparently with my authorization that I didn't give, that bounced from 1476 to 1957. This concerned Justin, and he gave me a phone call saying, I want to take lead on this. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. I said, okay, I greatly appreciate that. Then it took about 2 weeks before the car was ready. And at that point, I paid the $1,500 plus and took the car away. I have a bunch of voicemails from Joseph in reference to my car being ready multiple times. So hopefully this will help make better sense. I'm going to do my best to put them through a dictation service and have links to those available for you. I'm not lying about this, folks. This is why this is an important story. I left Les Schwab's after picking up the car. Joseph told me it was ready. He didn't even go through the car with me. He had it sitting outside, just tossed me the keys, took my money, and didn't even hand me an original warranty attached to my car. The warranty that I have with its number to present to you is probably attached to the person's car whose paperwork they did give me, which is really bad on Les Schwab's behalf. I should have a stack of warranty papers from them from each time my car was in. Now, on August 16th, my car had to be returned because the tie rod ends were installed upside down and incorrectly, and was causing the car to be thrusted from side to side, shifting lanes. This was very unsafe. I called Les Schwab's and I asked them what they would like me to do, whether to have it towed back to them, whether they were going to pick it up, and they requested that I drive it back to them. I actually have this invoice, and its invoice number is 362-0050-3362. Again, with my same customer ID number. And I was refunded $156.22. Here is part of the filing that was sent to the Attorney General. After nearly 2 weeks of waiting for our car to be ready to be picked up, expecting it to be safer, professionally repaired, and serviced at the cost of $1,562 by Les Schwab's Tire Center, store number 362. I got a call from Joe saying, she's all finished, and when he handed our keys back to me, by Joe Adams, with no more of a conversation from him than stating, it's all good, no worries, good to go. Here's your keys. That'll be $1,562. Have a nice day. On August 10th, 2021. Later finding out that Joe Adams and David Gr. had been fully informed and was aware of the reckless assembly of my car, going so far as to admit the prior knowledge of even worse failures to perform proper servicing and the repairs on their store camera. I came in after one incident with the tie rod ends, and this is before the major one, and he stated on their camera that he knew that these things were installed incorrectly, and he let the car go out anyways. On their store camera, there was a couple of other customers there with me. Now, if you're going to make a filing with the Attorney General or otherwise, I have learned that you need to present yourself before a judge and request a warrant. Now, this is a warrant for information. What this does is when you present it to them, even if they have lawyers and you have presented a proper warrant and have proper cause for the warrant, you may be able to stop them. Okay, now this doesn't necessarily give you access to it, but you may be able to stop them from destroying it or rewriting it, which is very important to you in your case, if you ever have one, where it comes to this part. Okay, now, they were informed by Justin the mechanic that expressed concern for the installed parts and was told to go with it by all the management personnel. Again, that is David Gr. stated on camera in front of dozens of customers his prior knowledge of these facts. When confronted by me each time the car was to return, I had to return our Audi all-road multiple times, and each time new admittances to each of the failed services was expressed on their CCTV camera. This is the first time of many so far that I've had to return my car to Les Schwab store number 362. Since the work was performed there, we were required to return our car for the store to that store for repairs, something I became increasingly worried about doing. Imagine that, if you will, that this was you and your family in our car or on the road next to me when this happened. It wouldn't have been so extremely dangerous if it wasn't for the fact that vital parts and control of our car's ability to maintain while driving on the road and correctly steering, keeping the tires in line with one another, was installed upside down, causing our car to jump from lane to lane. Very scary when it jumped into oncoming traffic. I have barely avoided creating a multiple car pileup on the roads in Vancouver, Washington, due to this mistake, as they called it. The car was obediently driven back to Les Schwab's at their request, instead of sending a tow truck, which would have been the safest option for the citizens around me. They denied us using a tow truck because of my lack of funds to pay for it out of our own pocket, something a customer should not have had to do. They wanted to see if it was their fault before helping. They never paid me back for this mistake either. Bear with me, this isn't even the biggest problem with the mistakes Les Schwab's made with our car. Secondly, Justin expressed to Les Schwab's employee management about. Secondly, Les Schwab's employee expressed management's decision to knowingly install mismatched lower control arms. Control arms that are responsible for locking together the main parts of your car's hub assembly, keeping your tires, your hub, and the entirety of your car's suspension together. They willfully installed these parts and sent us down the road, knowing that these parts were not properly installed with locking mechanisms. Again, they admitted to these failures to perform the duty of care owed to us and to all other citizens on the road during our travels on Store 362's CCTV camera system, located in their store lobby. I honestly request that corporate do an internal investigation into these matters, as many lives are at risk with this poor quality of maintenance services provided to such potentially lethal equipment. Now remember, I was unaware that the control arm was mismatched and improperly installed, and that the facts of this were withheld from me when questioned about the car's safety after they reinstalled the tie rod ends from their previous mistake of installing one of them upside down, causing our car to unsafely travel all over the road. And that it wasn't until after our car came apart and I called them to inform them of this poor, negligent quality of work performed by Les Schwab store number 362 that they knew the entire time our car was going to be on the road traveling down the freeway at speeds of 75 miles an hour, like a high-speed wrecking ball traveling down the road, ready to come apart and create massive destruction to their customer and to others on the road, and did nothing to inform the customer of these safety hazards. This can be reviewed on the store CCTV camera system, where David R.G. openly admits to these facts in front of dozens of customers in the store lobby. David falsely writes and even lies in his comments reports on 8/16/2021. Front fright lower control arm nut came loose while driving. Brought car back. Everything fixed. Gave customer credit. Never gave me the credit. The nut didn't come loose. It came off. The part completely disassembled. The pictures will be in this video. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety and Highway Loss Data Institute suggests that Noggers, my service animal, my granddaughter's father, and myself should not have made it through the facts of what really occurred. And by the grace of the God, the greatest of deities, did not happen on the freeway, because we would be dead today. And violates the ethics of the NIASE mechanics performance expectations to ensure the work they do to customers' vehicles is properly done and safe for the customer and citizens to travel around. These ethics are put into place for the safety of all involved in such potentially dangerous motor vehicles. Locking mechanisms on your lower control arm are vitally important. There was no locking mechanism. There was no locking nut. There was no lock washer. There was no kingpin. There was no king nut. There was nothing to lock this piece together. And you will see in the photo that the piece became completely separated from the hub. Here are the facts of what occurred. Our newly purchased, installed right front lower control arm came apart while driving, collapsing underneath, shattering my newly bought CV axle, damaging my Audi Allroads transmission, including smashing into and damaging our strut tower, hub assembly, brake caliper, passenger side rim, rotor, alternate control arm. Audis have two lower control arms, upper control arms, and caused the rim to scrape against the front fender. The right front passenger tire almost collapsed underneath my car in the attempt to pull over to the side of the road as the accident occurred. By accident, unless this was intentional, they may have intentionally not assembled my car correctly, and as in fact, they did. I did not bring the car back to be fixed. Les Schwab sent Justin out to a backyard mechanics our car back together and sent us back down the road, still unsafe as ever. David coerced me into accepting $156.22 in return for the extreme failures to perform honest labor, and that was only to return the high rod end that was installed upside down. I have a picture of that. They never refunded me for all the extra damage, so they were still 2 damages behind in repayment, as in fact they've only paid 1 of the 3. Later that same day, on 8/16, I received a call from Justin stating that he does not feel comfortable with the manner in which the management allowed my still continuously unsafe car to leave his care. Then he informed me at his request to limit my driving of my potentially deadly vehicle to putting around at speeds less than 30 miles an hour, and that he of his own accord ordered the proper parts because he of his own volition could not allow this type of business practice to continue to put our lives and the lives of others in jeopardy. And I thank you for that, Justin. Our car still currently is damaged, and every time I go to drive, I am afraid that it will come apart, and even feels and acts like it is going to at any point. I contacted Nathan, regional store manager operating the Minnehaha location in Vancouver, Washington, to express my concerns to these matters, to which I quote, "I will personally tell Joe Adams to take care of Kevin Quinfoller with Les Schwab's 100% customer satisfaction, especially with endangering your life to such a degree. I have yet to see this happen." As when I called Joe Adams from store location 362 and asked if we will be putting my car back on the rack to discuss these issues and whether or not I should be expecting to need a ride out of there while they fix the problems they created, and was turned down, stating, and I quote, "We'll see about that. You won't be leaving your car here for the work at this point." I find in my humble opinion these issues discussed, and only a couple have been listed, and I request correspondence in return from all parties to a complete lack of care owed, scummy mechanics, and criminally abated intentional acts for financial gains from their customers. So, folks, when your car comes apart and nearly collapses, and they give you this warranty, and the warranty states that any failure of these parts, we, Les Schwabs, will replace the parts and perform the labor for free. There's supposed to be a replacement, and it is supposed to be done for free. And it says again, let's see, alignment and chassis parts. Should a part fail during this time period due to the defects in materials or workmanship and showing no sign of service neglect and abuse, Les Schwabs will replace the parts and perform the labor for free. Misaligned or damage caused by abuse or collision is excluded. Okay, so I'm still waiting. By the way, they never cleaned up all the grease from underneath the car when all the work was done. They never made sure that the rims were grease free when they did the alignment. All kinds of bent parts underneath, even you'll see, folks. So if you ever have a problem with stuff like this, take multiple photos. Don't care who's in the photos. Don't care who you may be trying to respect, cover your back if you're going to go and have work done that could potentially cost lives, make sure that you understand what and how the risk management works, because what's going to happen with a company that's owned by a giant corporation is that they have 100 lawyers, and their job is to keep that thing pumping money in. The right thing would have been to refund me all my money, to have done the work for free, and maybe compensate me a little more. They sent me down the freeway like a wrecking ball, and it wasn't until after 140 miles and just getting off the freeway did that fucking car come apart. It literally should have been one of the biggest fucking accidents on the freeway in a long time. So, this is Bark Park Report. Check yourself when you go to Store 362. Fact check. Hell, take your phone, record all your conversations with you, because they will not give you their copy of CCTV. By law, only one party has to actually be aware that recording is happening, because you're not doing anything that makes it to the point where that you're in a public scene. So you're in a public scene. Let me put it this way: you're in a public scene. Just have your camera going. You're in the public. They have cameras going, so they know that you're being recorded on their camera system. It's just as fair for you to have a camera recording for your own copy. So keep yourself safe out there. See if you can take recordings or copies or photos of the work as it's before, during, and after. Make sure that you call the cops if there is an incident, so you have an official report. Call insurance companies if you have to. I tried contacting their insurance company to take care of this because the store didn't want to take care of it. And that's when it got, things got all like, oh, well, we're not going to make right by things. So, make sure that you just keep a recording of everything. It's a lot of headache, but there's a lot of lives that could be cost. I was doing my best with the only $1,600 I had to try and keep everybody safe around me, and me safe around everyone else. And, if they would have refunded me my money, I would have re-put that $1,600 back in to keep doing more work, to keep getting the car better and better. And I would have used their facility. Now, I wouldn't trust their facility to work on my worst enemy's car. Not that I have any worst enemies, but yeah. So, folks, it's very stressful. I probably didn't do a whole lot very well with this video, but it's something I feel that you all need to know. So, have a wonderful day. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you out there.